Many beginning bodybuilders make the mistake of thinking that to get really big arms, you just do biceps exercises. Wrong. If you want really huge arms, you have to do triceps exercises. The triceps are actually a larger muscle than the biceps, and in most people they seem to respond quicker to training. When you're working out at home, doing triceps can be a bit of a challenge. One of the best mass builders is skull crushers, and I already have a video on that. Another great mass builder for triceps are chair dips. And let's cover some of the things you're going to need to do these chair dips. First of all, you're going to need 2 chairs, identical. It's better if they have a rounded top. You can see these actually have a sharp angular top. And if you do these, the advanced version of the tricep dips, that can actually hurt your hands, which leads to the second item you're going to need, gloves. Don't waste money on expensive weightlifting gloves. These are $3 gloves from Home Depot. They're perfect. The last thing you're going to need, this will be for the beginning version, is a sofa pad. Now I'm going to show you 3 versions of the tricep dips. Let's start with the intermediate version. This is the basic version. So we're going to put the chairs about hip width apart, just enough so that your hands slightly brush against your hips. You don't want to have the chairs too wide. I'll show you why in a moment. So I'm going to put on my gloves. Now, if you're just doing these the first time, the first thing that's going to happen, you're going to push and the chairs are going to wobble like that. Don't let that happen. You're going to apply a slight outward pressure when you do this to keep the chairs from wobbling. So here's what it's going to look like. I'm applying a slight outward pressure. I'm going to go down till my arms are horizontal and then back up. I'm not going to lock my elbows, but almost. Down, hold, back up. Now you'll notice how slow I was doing that. I know I harp on this a lot, but it's even more important in these tricep dips because a lot of the form problem that people have when doing these is because they're doing them too fast. Okay, so that's the intermediate version. Let's look at the advanced version. So if the basic intermediate dip is too easy for you, here's what you do. You take a dumbbell, put as much weight or as little weight as you want, hold it between your legs. Let me show you. So you just hold it between your legs like that, pinch it. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to go down to horizontal, hold, up, almost lock but not completely, down, up. Now, if you can't maintain that form, it means you're using too much weight. It's better to use a light weight and do it properly than to use a heavy weight and use bad form. Okay, now let's cover the beginning version of the chair dip. Let's say you're not strong enough to push yourself up like that. What do? Well, what we're going to do, I'm standing, I'm going to put my hands on the chair tops, and then I'm going to lift my feet off the floor. So now I'm hanging here. You can see my feet in the air. I'm going to lower myself down slowly as I can, and then I'm going to catch myself with my feet. And then I'm going to push myself back up and do it again. I'm just doing the negative portion of the dips. Catch myself with my feet, back up. Now, remember this pad I said you need? What we're going to do, we're going to put that underneath our knees. In case your feet don't get in position fast enough to catch you, you'll land on the pad and it won't hurt your knees. So, we're going to catch down, catch ourselves, back up, do it again. And eventually, if you're doing these negatives, you'll very quickly get strong enough where you can do these dips. Okay, Now comes the part of the video that I love doing the most. I'm going to show you all the ways you can do this wrong. And I get my inspiration from watching people at the gym. So, let's cover some ways you can do this incorrectly. This is one of the common things I see at the gym. You'll see people doing dips and they'll go, what on earth are they doing? There's no range of motion. It's not doing any good at all. Maybe they're just thinking that, you know, because they can do them so fast, it's somehow good for them. Wrong. Okay, so no doing jackhammer dips. It doesn't help. Now, the opposite extreme, this is one that people do well-meaning, but it can cause problems. It's the opposite of the jackhammer dip, where they'll go down, 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 till their hands are in their armpits. That is really hard on the shoulder, and it doesn't do your triceps any more good to go down that far. And besides, who wants their hands smelling like their armpits? So, no going down that far. Stop when the arms are horizontal like that. Okay, here's one of the most comical ways to do this dip exercise incorrectly. And most people do it because it makes it easier. It looks ridiculous though. What they do is they use this little swing to help them get up. And let's see if I can do it here. Lord knows what they're trying to do, but they're not doing triceps. They're kind of keeping their arms still and doing this little thing with their hips. I don't know quite what it is, but don't do it. A very common incorrect way to do these dips is to use a swinging motion, and a lot of people do this because it makes them a lot easier, but that's not the point of this exercise. The point is to work the triceps, not to work on swinging. And what some people do, I don't know if I can do this, they go swing, 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 and it's dangerous and it doesn't do a lot of good. Okay, this is a very important point that I'm going to cover now. Your wrist does not flex a lot more than that. When you put it beyond that, it's a very unnatural strain on the wrist. The wrist is much stronger when it's in line with the forearm. So what you'll see some people do, they'll do dips on a flat surface and they'll put their hands like this and go down. That is really difficult on the wrist and you could have serious wrist injury. So don't put your hand like that on a surface to do the dips. That's the reason we're grabbing on the top of the chair, because what that does, when we grab on the top of the chair like this, you'll see it keeps our wrist in line with our forearm, and that's where the wrist is strongest and is least likely to get injured. So no wrist like that. Keep it like that. Okay, now a word of warning about dips. If you have shoulder issues, I would not recommend dips. And the reason is, any exercise where your elbow goes behind the plane of the body, it puts an unnatural strain on the shoulder. And the shoulder is not stable in that position or strong, and it's much more prone to injury. So a skull crusher is a much better exercise for triceps, for example, because your elbows are out front and you're doing this. In contrast with the dips, you'll notice my elbows are behind the plane of the body, and that's somewhat of an unnatural motion. If you have shoulder issues, avoid it. And that's another reason why I'm so careful about form on this and doing it so slowly. It's a lot less likely you're going to hurt your shoulder if you're doing really slow, controlled motions while doing this. While we're on the subject, I know people are going to ask, what other muscles does this work? Well, it definitely works out a bit of shoulders in addition to the triceps, and it also works out some chest. So bear that in mind when you're deciding what workout order to use. Okay, let's talk about how many reps, how many sets, and when to do these dips. People often ask, well, should I do 8 reps? Should I do 16 reps? Well, I'm a firm believer in going to failure. I don't like setting some rigid number and stopping when I get there or cheating to get to that number. Each set I do as many as I can with good form, whether that's 2 or 200. So as a guideline, I would say, you know, if you can't do 3 good dips with perfect form, then you should be doing the beginning version, which is where you stand and lower yourself down and then push yourself back up with your legs. If you can do, say, 12 of the intermediate dips like this without any weight, then I would say you should start adding some weight and doing the advanced version. And again, when you're holding the weight between your legs, if you can't do at least 6 good ones with perfect form, then you need to lower the weight. So that's the number of reps. Now, how many sets should you do? Well, it depends. Let's take an advanced bodybuilder, for example. I actually like doing triceps and biceps in the same workout. And if I do that, I spend an hour, maybe 70 minutes. And what I'll do a biceps exercise, and then with no rest, I'll do a triceps exercise. So I'll alternate between biceps and triceps for that whole 70-minute workout. And I would probably start out with skull crushers, because that's my favorite for a triceps mass builder. And then the second triceps exercise I would do at home would be the dips. Now, if you're intermediate, you probably won't be working out that long, and you might want to do a couple sets of these. If you're a beginner, I'm not sure I'd be doing these at all. I would rather see you stick to a good compound exercise like push-ups, because push-ups work triceps as well. And most beginners are limited in their push-ups by their tricep strength. So you might consider skipping the dips if you're a beginner. So that's it. Triceps, let's work on getting those huge arms.